Hello again and welcome to Shed Talk, the weekly magazine video series looking at the keeping, breeding and showing of cage birds, with a particular focus as always on the exhibition style budgerigar. And as we're at the beginning of December, what I thought I'd do is do a quick run round, or rather spend some time running through each of the cages, and looking at the new pairs that we've put in, seeing how they're getting on, seeing which cages are doing well and which cages are doing less well, where the more challenging cages are. And indeed, that's where we're going to start. We'll start with probably what currently is the most challenging cage, which is, of course, well, not of course, but which is cage number 4. So let's not spend too long on the intro. Let's get straight over there and look at cage number 4. So like I say, we're going to start with cage number 4 because this is the one that I'm currently having the most problems with, I suppose, in terms of breeding. And you might remember, so this is a cinnamon opaline sky blue cockbird that we crossed to a dark green. And hen went in very quickly, cleared the nest box, and we have some mating, and the hen has been laying. And in the last episode I mentioned that I think it was the last episode anyway, that I mentioned that eggs were going missing in this cage, and I was trying to cure that by putting the marble in. Like I said, the first 2 eggs went missing. The hen then laid a 3rd egg. I left it in there, and lo and behold, the next day when I came in, I found this, and as you can see, the egg had been broken and had been eaten basically, and there was still, the shell was still left in there. So it was blatantly obvious that one of the birds is destroying the eggs. I suspect the hen, although I can't be certain of that because the cockbird does occasionally go in to the nest box as well, but I'm expecting, or I suspect this to be the hen. So I was in a little bit of a dilemma here because, as we will see when we go around, there aren't that many, or there's only one other cage currently where any of the birds have got eggs. But what I did do was I left the marble in there, and then when the hen laid what in effect is the 4th egg of this particular round, I removed that and replaced it with another marble. So there's now 2 marbles in there. I marked that egg as egg number 4, and also double marked it, so gave it a little squiggle on it, and placed that egg into cage number 3, I think it is, cage number 3. Need to double check that, but anyway, the cage where we've got lots of eggs at the moment, and I, like I say, and put that egg in there. And then I think, actually, just thinking about it, it's cage number 6. So again, hen carried on sitting on the 2 marbles. A couple of days later, a 3rd egg, or rather a 5th egg was laid. Again, exactly the same thing, took that out, marked it as number 5, placed that into cage number 6, and put another marble in there. I'm now waiting for the 6th, and I suspect the final egg, to be laid in this cage, and then I will, again, if I catch it in time, I will remove that and place it again into cage number 6. It does leave me with a little bit of a problem in that cage number 6 now has 8 eggs in there, and she's still laying her own round, so she definitely won't be able to bring all those up, and as we will find out, with that hen and that pair has been quite successful. So how I will go about moving the eggs back into this cage or into one of the other cages, I will need to think about, but I certainly can't afford to leave those eggs in there. If they are full, it'll be a pleasant problem to have. If they're clear, then what I will probably do is move them back into here anyway. But then I will need to think about what I'm going to do with this pair going forward if we've got an egg eater. Right, well, let me know your thoughts. I don't hear too much noise coming from this when I'm sat in here, so it's not like she's playing around with the marbles in there. I don't know. Like I say, let me know your thoughts on what you would do with this particular pair, whether you would perhaps move some youngsters in here and let her bring those up, or see if she feeds them, particularly if they've already been fed. So, you know, a youngster that's a couple of days old, move it into here where it's strong enough to be heard calling, and hopefully she will feed it. I don't know. Like I say, thoughts on the back of a postcard, please, or in the comments, if that makes life easier. Right, so that's cage number 4. What we will talk about now is the cage that's directly above it, which is of course cage number 1. So cage number 1, this is one of my original pairs, and it's probably, so it was paired up what I thought was my best cockbird to my best hen. So I really wanted to get something off of this particular pair. It's a yellow face opaline cinnamon sky blue cockbird that we crossed to a dark green hen. Now, if you've been watching the channel for any time, you'll know that this cage has presented us with a number of problems. Firstly, she only laid 2 eggs in the first round, and the 1 egg that was full out of those 2 ended up being addled. So we then had the problem that this hen became quite badly, it got quite messy. The hen got messy around the vent, and I believe the vent had become blocked completely. So, but we caught it in time, you may remember. So it washed off. She then laid 1 egg about the following day, but on the cage floor. Since then, she's been sat in the nest box, and we've not seen any sign of her laying. There are no big poos, which is an indication that she's about to lay, but she's not coming out of the nest box, so she's just spending time in there. I do check her every time she comes out. There's no sign of the vent being blocked, no sign of any discomfort on the hen, but there's also no sign of her allowing the cockbird to mate with her. Now I think a couple of you in the comments suggested that I give this hen a rest, and that is my plan. So my plan for this pair is I'm going to remove the hen, I'm going to put her into a stock cage, a small stock cage, just for a couple of weeks, just to let her recover, and I will find another hen out of the flight for this cockbird in about a week. So I'll leave him in there on his own for about a week, and then I'll put another hen in there, and we'll try him with another hen. We know he can fit eggs because he filled one previously, and like I say, he came out top. This cockbird came out top of my when I scored them at the end of the last season. So right, so that's cage number 1. Claire's going to be split. I will try this hen again probably in about another 2 months, so after Christmas, you know, sort of February time I expect, probably with another cockbird. Anyway, so that's cage number 1 and what was pair number 1. Let's have a look at cage number 2. So cage number 2, this is our, well, up till now anyway, our most successful pair. This is a cinnamon sky blue. It seems like we've got lots of cinnamon sky blues, don't it, in this cockbirds in particular. So anyway, so it's a cinnamon sky blue cockbird that we've paired to a green hen, and you'll remember in the first round they laid a total of 6 eggs, of which all of them were full, and indeed we managed to get a total of, let me double check, 5 of them hatched out. One of the eggs was hatched. One of the eggs was addled. Unfortunately, a number of those chicks, when they hatched, weren't fed, which was meant we lost a couple of them. We lost a couple of them. So we got 3 chicks in there. So right. So we've got 3 chicks, all of which have grown very, very nicely. I think one of them's a cinnamon green, we've got a normal green, and we've got a cinnamon, what looks to me like a cinnamon cobalt hen as well in there. So we've got 2 hens and 1 cockbird based on the way the cinnamon gene works anyway. Well, I think I've spoken enough about that in previous episodes. So and those of you that watch the Instagram page will know that the youngest of those, the cobalt cinnamon youngster, jumped the nest, and you might just be able to make him out or her out behind me. So I have got a chick hide in the cage. The oldest two, so the eldest two birds, are still in the nest box. Now I have taken them out and put them on the bottom of the cage, but they make their way back up and back in, so I'm going to continue doing that. The hen hasn't started laying again, and Cockbird's still quite keen on her, and I'm wondering whether it's the fact that the two youngsters are still in the nest box as to why she has decided not to lay. Normally I would expect her just to lay in there anyway and to sit in there with the two youngsters, but she hasn't done that. So my thinking here is that I am going to continue taking these two out every, as soon as I see them go back in, I'll move them, put them on the bottom of the cage, and hopefully they'll get the message. If they haven't done that within the next 4 or 5 days, so certainly by the weekend, I will probably take these out and close the nest box off, so that they can't get back in, certainly for a couple of days, then reopen it again, and hopefully by that stage they'll learn that they need to be on the bottom of the cage. All still being fed, all growing on very nicely. Just, it's a shame that these two, the two oldest birds, just want to stay in the nest box. Happens, doesn't it? Happens. Let me know what you do when you've got chicks that just refuse to leave the nest box, or as soon as you take them out, climb straight back up and go straight back in. So that's cage number 2 and pair number 2, and like I say, I'm hoping that these pair will go again, and this time I'll be able to leave all of the eggs with this pair rather than move them. Right, or move a couple of them. Right, so there we go. That is cage number 2. Let's talk now about the cage below it, which is cage number 5. So far all we've done is talk about the problems in the cages. Cage number 1, cage number 4 and cage number 2 have all been, in one way or another, we've had potential problems with them. So what about cage number 5? Well, I'm pleased to say, so far, and I'm touching wood, so far this has been a bit of a successful story. So you might remember this is a pair that we swapped over from a pair that was doing absolutely nothing in this cage, and we swapped them over and we put in here two fairly youngish birds. So they were very early bred 2024, so about this time last year they were bred, so they're about a year old, and they were a light green cockbird that we've paired to a Lutino hen, and I am really pleased to say that, like I said, it feels like things are going well here. The moment I turned the nest box back around and opened it up, I got the impression that the hen was showing some interest in it, and I am now absolutely certain that the hen is going in there, because she's clearing it out. She's going in and started to clear the nest box out, which is always a really good sign. It shows that the hen is in or coming into breeding condition and is interested in the nest box. I've not seen any sign of large poos in there, and I've not seen any mating, although the cockbird and the hen do sit together on the perch. They're not sat either end of the cage, so, and when the hen goes into the nest box, the cockbird shows a fair bit of interest in her. So I am hopeful here. I'm just hoping that with both these pairs being relatively young, and both a maiden hen and a maiden cockbird, that they know what to do, and that we get some full eggs off of them, and we're going to get some split Lutinos that I can next year hopefully pair back into the Lutino line, and we will then get some more Lutino birds, so cockbirds. Anyway, so that's cage number 5, and like I say, so far, touch wood again, things do appear to be going quite well in this cage, which is good news considering how the other cages have been. Right, so that's cage number 5. Let's move on to the final 2 cages then, which are behind me over this shoulder, cage number 3 and cage number 6. So let's move on to the last two cages, and the first one is cage number 3, which is the cage that's directly behind me. And I had real high hopes for this cage in the last episode. You might remember we had swapped out the cockbird, so we left the hen in here. She had laid around of, I think, with 6 eggs, but all of them were clear, and we decided to change the cockbird, partly because the old cockbird in there had had enough time with enough hens, and I'd not managed to fill a single egg in all the time that I've tried him. So finally given up on that cockbird. We put a proven cockbird in here, which is a dominant pied, and once again we're going to cross him, or he's gone back in with a normal grey-green. Sorry, a normal dark green, not a grey-green. And you might remember when we put them in here, I said that they were getting on really well. You know, the cockbird was, speaking with the hen, and the hen had actually crouched to allow him to thread her, but we didn't see any threading. Unfortunately, things have, since that very early start, things have slowed down here. The hen stopped going in the nest box. She spent a lot of time just cleaning the seed dish out. I don't know why she does it, but that's what she does. And I think she did it previously for a little while. So even after I reopened the nest box, she had stopped going in there. And he stopped showing any interest. They don't sit together very much. Occasionally he'll go across to her, particularly when she's interested in what's going on in the cage next door. So in cage number 2, particularly since we've had one of the youngsters in there fledge, and the other 2 youngsters I keep putting out. She spends a lot of time interested in them and less time actually going into the nest box. You can probably see her sat behind me, so she sat there, cockbird sat on the other perch, I think behind the nest box at the moment. So I don't really know. She's not cleaned the nest box out. I topped the nest box back up, as you might remember. She's not cleaned that out. It is still early days. I've only been in there a week, and perhaps I got overexcited when I first put the cockbird in there, expecting these 2 to bond straight away. What I will do is I will give this pair probably another 2 weeks at least to see whether anything happens. If not, then what I will do is I'll find this cockbird a different hen. I did say this cockbird's reaching towards the end of his I suppose his breeding life, so it might be that he's just gone past it, although like I say, he did show lots of interest initially. Right, so that's cage number 3. Yet to find out whether that's a real disappointment or it's just that we're taking a little while for them to get going. Right, let's move on to what is undoubtedly currently, if you exclude the one where we've got chicks, the most successful breeding cage that we're going to look at in this roundup. So here we go then with the final cage, which is cage number 6, which is the cage you can see just over my shoulder. It's the bottom of the 2 cages, and this is a pair that's actually been down for some considerable time. It was one of the first few pairs that we put in there, and you might remember it took the hen absolutely ages before she started going in the nest box. Gives me some hope for the cage above perhaps, and finally started clearing it, started laying, and I'm really pleased to say currently a absolute success. This is a cinnamon green cockbird that we paired to an opaline cinnamon grey hen. So far they've laid a total of 6 eggs. They're also looking after the eggs that are in, that we've taken out of cage number 4. So yeah, so they've laid it in their own, they've laid a total of 6 eggs. The first 3 of those eggs, I'm really pleased to say, are full. So I've got high hopes that the remainder of those eggs are going to be full. And if that's the case, we will probably, if we get a chance, we might move the last couple of those chicks. But otherwise, I'll let her try and bring all of the chicks. The only problem we might have with this particular pair, in terms of raising those chicks, apart from the fact it's quite a large number, is that there was a slight break between the first 2 eggs and the last 4 eggs, or certainly the last 4 eggs that have been laid, about 4 days, which does mean with the first chick hatches to the last chick, it's going to be a big old period in between the 2, and there'll be a massive difference in terms of the size. I said it before, it sometimes means the last few chicks have less chance of competing for food. So Then I will think about that as we get closer to the time. It's going to be a nice problem to have. You know, if we get 6 eggs hatch, it would be a really nice problem for us to have with this particular pair. Right, so like I say, really good news in here in this particular cage. Finishing on a high, as always. Or not as always, but finishing on a high is always a good thing, isn't it? Let me know your thoughts about some of those other problem cages and what you were thinking about doing. It's always good to get other views, other people's views on what they would do in those circumstances. How sometimes it, you know, makes me think a little bit wider than what I might normally be thinking. So anyway, that's all of the cages. Before I go, it is December, and which December means I'm, believe it or not, starting to think about the fifes and the breeding of the fifes out there. So I've now started to turn the lights on out there. So currently they come on at about 8 o'clock in the morning and go off at about 3. I say about because the timer out there might be a little bit different to the timers in here. Anyway, from the timer point of view, they come on at 8 o'clock and go off at 3. It's just helps in terms of the gloominess that's out there and gives them a little bit of I suppose more daylight, but it is coming on, the light is coming on after dawn and is going off before sunset, so it's not like there's a sudden change from light to dark. And we will keep increasing that each week by about 15 minutes to half an hour, it depends really, but it's about 15 minutes every week we will increase the time, how long that timer is on for. And that will gradually bring the fifes into condition, ready for breeding next year. Right, so yeah, like I say, that is the what else is going on out there in the Finch and Fife flight. We will take a look out there perhaps after Christmas, when we've got a bit more time and we're a bit more settled in here. So, like I say, that's it. That's the roundup for in here and out there in the Finch and Fife flight. Well, that just about brings us to the end of another video. I'm thinking about which hen I need to get out of there to replace the hen that is currently in cage number 1. So I was just having a quick look at what I still had in there. I will have another look on the my spreadsheet as well to see which one is next due in there that might be compatible with that yellow face. Anyway, like I say, that does bring us to the end of another episode. So looking at the next hen, we'll have to wait till next week. If you enjoyed the video, as always, do please hit the like button, and of course if you're not yet a subscriber, please do subscribe. Can I just say a big thank you to all those who watched the last video. It was, from my point of view, being just quite a small channel, from my point of view, the number of people that watched that video was absolutely amazing. It took off straight away and had lots and lots of views in the very first 2 or 3 days, which is brilliant because, as we all know, the YouTube algorithm looks at that and then it chucks that video out more widely. So I keep saying it, but yes, anyway, so a big thank you to all those of you who have recently subscribed, long-term subscribers, or those of you who just watched the video without subscribing. If you can subscribe, please do hit the subscribe button. It all helps the channel to grow. But most importantly, as always, do stay safe, enjoy your birds.